Sorry. Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thanks to Shuli, especially for spending your time with us. It's a real pleasure. We have called Shuli for a dialogue with him on the ongoing devastating situation in Israel and Palestine. We're interested in his point of view because he's very aware of the primary injustice that lies at the core of the state of Israel, which is the domination over the Palestinians. Shuli has devoted his entire life to the struggle for a truly shared and egalitarian society between Jews and Palestinians. His expertise is focused on Palestinian Israeli citizens, those living inside the Green Line, the so-called Palestinian of 48, who, as many of you will know, enjoy some privileges compared to those in the West Bank and Gaza, but less privileges than the Jews. Here are a few lines about Shuli's CV. He grew up on Kibbutz Ma'anit in northern Israel. He's a longtime activist. He has been involved in the struggle for a shared society since 1972, especially through binational education. He has directed educational programs at Givat Haviva, a prestigious center aimed at social change for coexistence of Jews and Palestinians. He was for some years also CEO of Sikui, a non-profit organization promoting equality of Jews and Arabs. He was later CEO of the binational and bilingual schools Yad Vayad, which means in Hebrew hand in hand. Yad Vayad is a network of 6 schools located throughout Israel. In contrast to Israel's segregated educational system, Yad Vayad are the only schools that, together with the Shalom Wahat al-Salam, offer a shared education for Palestinians and Jewish children. He has been also advisor to the Israeli Minister for Minority Affairs in 2009 and 2010. He is also the author of a book called Sharing the Promised Land, in which he describes in detail from his own experience as a kibbutznik, as an educator, as a consultant, or simply as a citizen, the inequalities of Palestinian citizens of Israel. More recently, in 2021, he co-founded with Palestinian Israeli professor Amir Fahouri, Nissan. Nissan is a center for research and design of a shared Jewish-Palestinian society that belongs to the prestigious Van Leer Institute. A particularity of Shuli in the world of Israel, peace and equality activists is his claim for Zionism. I know a bunch of activists, and none of them speak of Zionism. When I ask them, some say they are not Zionists, or that they are post-Zionist or anti-Zionist, but Shuli is the one who declares his Zionism, always stating that Zionism of control over the Palestinians must shift to a Zionism of partnership with them. It sounds a lot like Buber's Zionism, but he calls it civic Zionism. He will explain it to us later. Well, I'll give the floor to Shuli, who will make some opening remarks before moving on to questions and answers. Go ahead, Shuli, please.
Thank you very much, Jonas, and thank you, Margot. I met you too in Israel. Am I heard now?
Yeah,
Margot,
Yes.
Margot, I can't hear you.
Margot?
Perdona, sorry. I want to say something to the group. Would you like everyone to shut up the microphones or mute or stay in muting mode for not to have interference in the recording? Thank you. That's okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
I met Jonas and Margot in Israel, and it was very, very interesting meeting. And intrigued me because usually when I meet people from outside Israel, I learn much from them because of the different angles that they are bringing in. So, and I believe that many other activists like myself learn much from outside angles that they hear. Major shifts in my career, in my understanding of my own position and the reflections came always after an encounter with people from the outside, from abroad, or from seminars abroad I went during my career. So for me, it's a privilege and not only joy, but also a point of progress to meet with you. So after my very, very few words of opening, I trust that your comments and questions will lead me to say what I want.
Okay.
Now, this is a very personal angle. I live on a kibbutz, and on kibbutz Ma'anit, which is those of you who visited Givat Chaviva, it is right next to Givat Chaviva, surrounded by Palestinian towns and villages that remained here after the 1948 upheaval, after our War of Independence and their Nakba. Practically, we are growing up. I'm saying we, my generation, I was born in 1955, grew up into relations with the Palestinians characterized by dominator and dominee relations. And we were part of the dominators. And we grew up into this. Few of us, too few yet, came to understand that equality between us would be better relations, adhere better to our own values. But usually the relations here also now are relations of number two and number one relations, dominator and dominee. And we did not make progress, not enough in the few decades that I am active. We did make much progress in very small, I would say, islands of equality, such as the schools, as Jonas mentioned, and other organizations, civil society organizations, who are creating equality between the Palestinians and the Jews within the limits of the organization, knowing always that the storm outside, the racist storm outside, always, not only in the past year and a half, always getting in from the window somehow. But the struggle in the civil society, in the NGOs, is to establish fair and equal relations between us within the limits of our organization. I know that it sounds, what do you call, defensive and very limited, but in a Excel sheet that I have created, counting all those people who are involved directly in relations, in equal relations between the two nations here in Israel. I've stopped counting when I reached 70,000 people. And when I'm saying directly involved, I mean that the other side is part of your own personal life on a daily basis, or at least weekly basis. That means that I would say 100 or 200, between 100 and 200,000 people in Israel do want actively and want to participate personally, and do participate personally in activity of relations, of equal relations between the Jews and the Palestinians. I believe that the number is higher, but not much higher, unfortunately. But still, for us, it's a very good base to begin and to build the world that we want to live in. Few words about the completion between shared society and a political solution, or I would say a state solution. Something that Jonas didn't mention is my involvement with, and also Amir, my partner, involvement in a political group called Eretz Lekulam in Hebrew, a land for all. A land for all is a political group of Palestinians and Jews and Israelis who are advocating the notion of sharing the space between the sea and the river as a shared homeland. That first and foremost admitting and accepting that this is not only our homeland, but also the homeland of the other. This is based on the assumption that between the sea and the river, there are two tectonic plates, Palestinian and Jewish, Palestinian and Israeli. And all the other divisions are within each plate. In Israel, there's it's not easy to promote this notion because one of the defensive positions against the need to reconcile with the Palestinians among the Jews, there is a notion developed that we have many groups in Israel, not only the Arabs, the Jews and the Arabs and the Russians and the Ethiopians and the Bedouins and the Christians, and this notion is trying to diffuse the sense of conflict that we have between Palestinians and Jews. And understanding that there's a conflict between two major nations between the sea and the river is in order to avoid solution. So we are advocating for this notion that we have, it's the two of us, and that we are sharing the same homeland for both. That means that both of us must acknowledge that our homeland is also the homeland of another people, another nation. That means that the country, in fact, is binational. Now, the political solution, the political historical solution that we advocate and we found it most acceptable potentially is the solution of the confederation that we suggest to acknowledge that there are two nations. That means that each nation would have its own state, but two states can only flourish or be established on shared on a shared construction of confederation that will tie them both with institutions such as in every walk of life, and we will have to tail our own suit, but we are getting some inspiration from the European Union. So I would sum up my opening remarks saying that the basis of what I'm suggesting, not me only, I mean, we suggest, is the foundation of shared society that is based on equality, and the construction, the political construction above, from top down, is construction of a confederation. Very soon, on the first one, very soon, Amir Fakhoury and I are publishing the first volume of the Lexicon for Shared Society in Israel. Very soon, I'm saying within 2 months. It's already accepted in a publishing house, and it's called 9 Lives. Maybe some of you know Uriel Con because he's speaking Spanish, and no, you don't. He's Argentinian, and he's accepted our publication, and the lexicon, the first volume of 1 of 3, will be out in March, soon enough, in both languages, Hebrew and Arabic, and well, it's a point of a small point of happiness. That's it. I think it's enough for opening. I'm open to every question or remarks. Don't bother to put a question mark. I will relate to your remarks as well. I suggest, Jonas, to have 3 remarks or questions, and then I will relate to them, like in 3 in a round.
Okay, as you want.
Okay? You can also, I'm saying this as a facilitator myself, you can also relate to one another. You don't have to have me in the middle. So.
Okay. I want to make a remark before, please, Luisa and Marina, you have your microphone open and we hear some noises.
Yes.
Which are disturbing. Can you mute your microphone, please?
Okay.
Well, may I make the first question, please? Well, now, what are your feelings after 15 months of war, or crimes of war, and ethnic cleansing, and probably genocide? What are your expectations or forecasts for the future in this tragical situation? Well, that's my first question. Does anyone wants to add any other question before? Tamar is asking. Okay.
Yes, Tamar, I will manage the person. Please, if you want to make some question, just raise your virtual hand, or even if you can't, you can do this. I will see it. Yes, yes, okay. Jamal, and then Farideh.
Tamar, you're mute.
Sorry, I thought that you were going to make your first question, Jonas.
I may.
Well, Shuli, Shalom, Boker Tov. I want to ask about the actual situation in Israel, about the equality at workplaces. I'm going to tell a little history about me, and then I could ask my question exactly. The thing is that I lived twice in Israel. First time in my childhood, and after that, when I was grown up in the 90s, I worked in a תחנה פסיכולוגיה חינוכית. I'm a psychologist. Between 1995 and 1996. And in my crew, we were 10 psychologists. And in my crew, we had 2 Palestinian Israeli psychologists. And one of them was the younger. He lived in Yafo. He was single. The other one was older. Not very much older than the other. He was married and he lived in downtown in Tel Aviv, near the Dizengoff Center. Well, the thing is that we all worked together in that Tahana in Yafo, and as I know, we had equality in things like working day, schedules, and salaries. And the thing is that all the things that are happening in Israel right now, I wonder if this equality is something that is real now in Israel today. I mean, professionals, Palestinian professionals, teachers, psychologists, architects, lawyers, have they this equality in their jobs in Israel right now? The thing is, there are there professionals, Palestinian professionals working in Israel right now? They have the permission to do that, or many professionals, or well, I know that all of them, workers from Gaza, they are forbidden to work in Israel. Of course, the frontier is cut. But what about the Palestinians who are Israelis and they are professionals or they are workers? Are they working today? Have they the same rights, the same salaries, the same, or are different? There are difference now, and maybe this equality disappeared. This is the question that I have to you. Thank you.
Gracias, Samara. Pedimos las próximas preguntas que sean súper concretas y focalizadas. No pueden durar, sí, por favor, para poder optimizar el tiempo. Farideh.
Sí, ¿qué tal? Hello, Shuli. I'm Farideh Romano. I represent Neve Shalom Wahat al Salam in Spain. I'm sure you know the village. It was founded.
Lots of respect.
It was founded in 1970, and the bilingual school was founded in 1974. It was also working hand in hand. I wanted just to state that the village has been working successfully because they have equality in number of habitants. They're trying also to have 50% Palestinians and 50% Jewish. Why? Because they say that if it's majority of one population or other, there will be the dominating and the dominee. So if you can explain a little bit, how can you handle it in the whole society of Israel? That's my question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Daniela. Faride. Daniela, it's your turn.
בוקר טוב. Well, I think that we want solutions as soon as possible, because if we wait too long, there are no more Palestinians. So the problem is resolved in the manner which we don't want. Well, we know, we have a good information of the situation in Israel, and the numbers you gave of 200,000 of people are very short, as for my own desire and yours too, I suppose, no? I wanted to know what, I have many questions, but I will be, as short as possible. What is the meaning of your identity as a Zionist? What do you call you? You say Zionist? How do you understand it now? Another thing which I think is very, very important now, as you said, every time you met people from the diaspora, from abroad, you had a good, an interesting interchange, no? So I think in this situation, the diaspora, all the people we are abroad, are very important in this situation, but I don't know exactly how can be the organization to collaborate or structure a connection, direct connection with the interior and the exterior. I mean, is it possible to have much more influence, which I know Israel is a sovereign country, so we have King Netanyahu, so it is quite difficult. But I think if we organize something with near ideology as yours in the diaspora, it can be very, very interesting as a new movement. What is your opinion? That's all for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. And for can we stop here or, okay, then we are going to continue with Vicente, Giuseppe, and whatever, okay?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jonas, I did not relate to the moment in my opening remarks, and it seems like I'm hallucinating when I'm talking, because the reality of the war is so harsh and so dominating all around. And it's very hard to relate to it, because it's a mixture of very personal. Where's Jonas? Here. Yes, very personal impact on me, on every individual in Israel, but on me as a lifetime peace activist. It's not much different, unfortunately. I live on a kibbutz, and quite few of the kibbutzniks in the south I knew personally, and some of them I even texted on the day of October 7th in the morning until they stopped texting. It's hard to describe the amount and the depth of the sense of identification that I feel with them, with those who are still in captivity in Gaza. And personally, my nights and mornings until today, until now, are always with some sense of fear as a result of this identification with them, literally. I mean, kibbutzim are a main target of Palestinian revenge, and I personally understand this, and I can also explain this. It's not something that I reject as impossible. In that book that you mentioned also, it's also written in that book that you mentioned that without solution, we're doomed to live with the fear of the criminal who always afraid that they will come after him. And the crimes that we have committed during the years, during the 20th century, are still with us today, and the results of the crimes of the Zionist movement are still, until now, vivid and working, and now even more with the new twist, with a religious twist that it has in the 21st century. I hope I'm clear in what I'm saying. To me, it's not that much clear, but in fact, to me, it is clear. But personally, as a kibbutz member, a lifetime member of the kibbutz, I feel this on different angles, both the shame and sense of guilt that comes with the load that I'm holding on my shoulders, the load of the crimes that the Zionist movement has committed here. It's been 100 years already, as well as the struggle for finding a solution or finding a different base for relations with the Palestinians. This is also trying to relate to the question that Daniela asked. To me, being a Zionist today, or being a Zionist at all, means both full personal responsibility for the crimes that my historical movement has committed, as well as full commitment to rectify the wrong and to rebuild our life in Eretz Israel on the basis of binationalism with the Palestinians. this is what I mentioned in my opening remarks, as shared society, bottom up, and a confederation, top down. So, Jonas, with regard to the war, I believe that, personally, every day I'm going to this little town where we met. I don't remember, about a year, 2 years ago or so.
Just before the war.
Just before the war. So there, in this little town, in a central roundabout, I'm standing together with another 5, 10, sometimes 15 people daily, every day, demonstrating against the war and demanding that Israel will fight for the people who are kidnapped and went there. But first and foremost, to stop the war. Is it something that helps? I'm not sure. But this war has caused us, or few of us, or many of us, to go back to square one, where the person is making the decisions of what to do based on morals. It's a very, very low position, in my opinion. It's not a high position. When you are pushed down, you are going back to the morals. When you're going up, you can do politics, you can make choices, you can fight. The morals, in that respect, are quite a low position. So Tamar, Tamar is the name of my daughter. So Tamar, when you're talking about shivyon, about equality, this is a very high position. This is when they what do you call this? The pyramid, the Maslow pyramid of the needs of the person. Shivyon, equality is a very basic one, but only when you are in a position. I mean, the people in Gaza that we see the pictures and and we can only imagine what is going on there. They do not care for equality. Now, they care for life. So sometimes it feels awkward these times to talk about equality and to measure equality. My lifetime project is to measure equality and to care for equality and to build relations and build surroundings and build social structures so we feel equal. But this war threw us back, or threw us down in the Maslow pyramid. But still, the lexicon is that we are publishing soon, this in March, is basing our future life on equality. So, Tamar, now, practically now, you can tap into the fight for equality via the website of Sikuy, SIKKUY. This is the best organization in Israel that is very persistent in fighting for equality also during the war. So tap into it. Sikui, I can write it here on the chat. It's sikui.org. Look for it, and you will find much information about this, as well as a protest against the war. The Palestinian citizens in Israel are living in fear. Yes. The Palestinian citizens of Israel are living in fear. Very multidimensional, not only, I will mention only two dimensions. One is the crime that was, I would say, fostered in the Palestinian communities, fostered by the government in past almost decade. You can find about this also in I'm a little distracted by the chat. Following up on you can learn much about the crime that is drowning the Palestinian communities in Israel in different websites, mainly the Abraham initiatives. You click at the Abraham Initiatives, is an old organization such as Sikui, and is working very hard to solve this issue. The crime within the Palestinian towns is causing much fear among them. Another fear that is coming from the outside. Fear, we are not measuring, people do measure. It's hard to measure now the racism against Palestinian citizens of Israel in the tools that we used to measure it before the war. Because before the war, we measured racism in social standards. Since then, since October 7th, the measure is more closer to the I would say, to the sense of the fear of elimination that they are sharing with the Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank. Now, it is unreal to assume that the Palestinian citizens of Israel will be eliminated soon, as the same as the Palestinians in Gaza. But it's close enough to be worried. It's close enough, so we should be worried about this.
Yes.
As well. Farida, Neve Shalom is my beacon, personally. I learned much from Neve Shalom, always learning from Neve Shalom. They are the pioneers of shared living and equality between Palestinians and Jews in Israel. It was when I was a teenager, and I agree that, and of course I adore them and admire them, and many, of course, friends and colleagues are working together. However, there's one element that I need to say, and this is a reflection not only on Neve Shalom and also on my own work, which is following Neve Shalom. We are tending to look for equality in numbers, in quantities, in order to guarantee equality in outputs, equality in all walks of life. And we should challenge this perception, because we know, although between the sea and the river we have the same number of Palestinians and Jews, I think that we should guarantee equality that is not based on a number. Of course, we know that the group must be big enough, large enough to demand equality as a group, okay? But based on the principle that all people, all persons born equal, there's also group equality, group rights. Yeah, I don't have to tell this to you. I mean, you in Spain, we are learning from Spain, and for the struggle for this. So a group, ethnic group or national group, should not count on an equal number in order to gain equality. This is what I mean. So I think that all the people in Israel who are working on this, we should also stress this principle that equality is not only based on numbers. And recently I found a quote from Ben-Gurion saying this as well, that the Palestinians and the Jews will live together in the country in equality that is not based on the numbers. He said on the numbers of majority minority. He said this in 1931 and 33, when the Jews were a very small minority. Anyway, I think that I have not covered but touched all of your questions. Have I? I hope that until now. So we can go for.
Okay.
No, I was asking about something else, that was the relations between Israel and diaspora.
Oh, yes. Oh,
yes.
Daniela. Daniela, yes. Also, yes, this is so important issue. And in that book that Jonas mentioned, there's a whole chapter about this. So I will not go into depth now okay? So we don't have enough time for this. So we may want to have a separate meeting only for this. But your comment made me think that maybe it's time for a conference, or for a Jewish conference, either world conference or here in Jerusalem, bringing together all the Jews, both in Israel and the diaspora, who object this war. This is this is a very, very good point of yours. A cooperation between Jews in Israel and outside Israel, not only in projects and not limited to a certain point, but a general conference, large one, gathering, calling to end this war immediately and point out few solutions. But first and foremost, stop the negative deterioration of the entire region. So Daniela, I would, if there is especially if and when it comes from outside Israel, from Jewish diaspora who cares for Jews and for Israel as well.
Yeah.
You don't have to be Zionist to care for this.
A new construction.
This is the second phase. First and foremost, stop the war.
Yeah.
Okay? Stop the
Violence.
This huge wave of revengeful violence. Okay? And then you can also dedicate in the third day of this conference, Daniela, we're beginning now to plan it, the day of solutions, of suggested solutions. Okay?
Okay. I'll write something for you from this. Okay.
For me, I'm not. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go for the second round.
Yes, it is Vicente, then Giuseppe, and the last, and Jaime, and Jonas, who doesn't know how to raise his hand. So Vicente, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, first of all, what I want to say is that I'm speaking with deep humility. I want to say that because, well, first of all, I'm not a Jew. I'm somebody interested in these topics of injustice and vulnerability, perhaps for my trajectory during the years and especially in the last 10 years in which I've been working for UNHCR, the UN Agency for Refugees. I was director for supply chain and emergency logistics response to emergencies. I've been 3 times visiting Israel, talking about many years ago for business reasons. But as I said before, I'm not a Jew, although my name may suggest that Escribano, but I don't know. So listening to Shuli, I've been full of hope. I want to thank him because I was aware, but I didn't know, and I have seen that in his words, in his way of expression, in his commitment, in his clarity, that something different to injustice and war and this tragedy is possible, or may be possible. So I will end here. I'm here to learn and here to listen to all of you. Just with a question for Shuli, which is, what do you think needs to happen in the Israeli society and also in the Palestinian society so that we can advance towards this idea of equality or living together in the same land, everybody as as you know, regardless of religion, political opinions, etc., etc. What needs to happen? It seems a very difficult question to answer, perhaps now, in which we are in this terrible war, and there are so many people interested in polarization. And when you talk about these things, immediately you have many people that are basically saying, no, this is not possible. So I will end here, because of the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vicente. We really appreciate you. Well, a lot of people, also to Josep, to Jaime, to be here and to listen this perspective. So, Josep, please.
Well, I have a lot of questions, but I will be very concrete. You before mentioned a shared society based on equality, bottom-up constructed. And I think this means the existence of shared values, shared economy, shared opportunities. And what do you think it is possible as a goal, of course, even before the October 7th, to build a shared society, one society, not a juxtaposition of these societies that live in the same place but are different? How do you think is it possible to merge without with tensions, with how to build this unique society? Okay, let's talk.
Okay, and please, thank you very much, Josep. Sorry, I was distracted because I was just about to send you the link of Land for All in your chat. Okay, so please, thank you very much, Josep, and please, Jaime.
Okay. Boker Tov. Well, I am not Jewish. I have been in contact with the Jewish communities in Barcelona for many years. Now I am a bit disconnected, but I keep very good contact with very close friends in Israel. Very close also to your position, Shuli. But I am.
I'm sure I know them personally.
Probably. Most probably. Well, no, I'm talking about Avihu Ronen. Probably you heard about this professor.
Sure, of course.
You know,
many years.
For many years, okay, yeah. So what makes me very pessimistic and very sad is that I see that, well, the idea that they are conveying is that there is no solution. As a matter of fact, they are giving up. They are giving up, and they are planning to probably leave in Israel shortly. And for me, this is very pessimistic. And I have a question well, two questions for you. One is following. How free you are to express your opinion in the open Israeli society? I mean, is this somewhat risky, saying that you are advocating for a shared land? Or you can openly express that without fear of having strong reactions from the rest of your of Israeli people. And secondly, yes, we hear a lot about the amount of demonstrations against the war. But I am interested in knowing what's the driving force about this opposition. Is to make sure the hostages are kept alive, or this is just sadness about the pain that the Israeli government is inflicting on the Palestinian society? Because I have the impression that what concerns most the Israeli society, and probably I'm wrong, and I will be happy to hear that I am wrong, But what drives those demonstrations is, okay, we are putting at risk the life of the hostages. Not that we are causing so many damages on Palestinian society.
Okay, Shuli, it's okay? Or would you like to hear Jonas' question?
Jonas, can we wait with this?
Okay.
Jonas?
Go ahead, please.
Your questions are so good and so show that you look in the depth of our life, and I wish I could be as deep as you in Spanish scene as you are in the Israeli scene. Vicente, in order for us to see future, both Palestinians and Jews in Israel, and between the sea and the river, need to see future. As Chaim said, there are people, those who can afford and those who have the options to leave, can think about it, or some of them do actually leave. My daughter, with 3 children, left last summer to America. I miss her children, and I miss her and her husband and the dog that they took away with them. It's very sad that this is part of it. But Vicente, we need to see future in order to live, not only to co-live, but to live. I'm sorry. Sorry. Part of us, Daniela, can you mute, please? There's a sound here. I'm sorry. Not only Daniela, maybe Jonas too. Try to, everyone, there's something there. Yes. Some of us, part of the Israeli government, does see future. They see the future of the third temple being established, and they are doing everything they can in order to make it happen. It's we all the years we called them lunatics, but now they're managing to gear all of us towards their own vision. It is not that they do not have vision. They are not only bad people. They have a vision. They have a vision for this land. They have a vision for the Jewish people, and they have a vision for the Jewish people's role in its relations with God and with the rest of the nations in the world. And you can, they are not, for them, for many of them, it's not a joyful issue to do. They feel it as a burden. It goes that messianic. They feel it as a burden on them. it's not something that they want. They say, it's not, I don't want it. I have to do bad things, but God instructed me to. I can't refuse that. They see future, and they see this era as era of a miracle, that God has lended us the option of getting closer to the vision. Us, humanistic, rational, liberal, socialist people need to pose a contra-vision, a counter-vision to this. It is very hard. It is very hard to compete with the Bible. But this is the goal that we have to clarify to ourselves all the time. So, Vicente, your question was short, but the answer to it is very long. We need to crystallize a good vision. Our vision is not crystallized enough. And our work to crystallize it, to elaborate, is multidimensional and goes all the way with the praxis of it. This is why Neve Shalom is so important, and hand in hand is so important. And all those who are practicing equality, which is never complete, it is never perfect, but it's the struggle and the attempt and the hishtadlut, what do you call it in Spanish or in English? The
effort,
the constant effort. Hishtadlut is an effort with a will together, comes together. It's very, and I do, and the project of the lexicon and the byproducts of the lexicon that Amir, my colleague, is working on them and developing the analytic framework and the theories and all this. You may want to invite him for a separate meeting. All this is designed to serve those 100 or 200,000 people in Israel. Who cares for this? This is our job, to serve them, to help them crystallize the vision, to help them, to give them tools, or to develop together the tools that will enable us to show that this kind of life is possible. And it's not only possible, it's desirable. Okay? That's in contra, countering the vision of the messianic minority that took over here, abducted a whole country. By the way, messianic from both sides. It's not by the way, it's one of the elements of that the messianic approach of that includes eliminating the other is not only Jewish, it's also on the Palestinian side. The Hamas based its perception and its power of seduction on the Palestinian grief and Palestinian suffering of almost 100 years and sweep them into the vision of eliminating the Jews via religious ethos. It happened also on the Palestinian side. So Giuseppe, both sides, and without making comparison or symmetric approach or whatever, we have a huge work to do on both sides. I'm afraid I'm almost 70 years old. I'm afraid that I will not see the end of it, but laying the foundation for this is a commitment. Both as a Zionist, it's another. I think that Danielle asked about the Zionism also. Giuseppe, one society, it will always be. Palestinians and Jews are intertwined in this country in a way that we are inseparable. So we will have to find the way to live together. It's so small. This country is so small. We can't we can't go separate ways. No way. So our suggestion of shared society, according to principles of shared society, you will, if the lexicon will be translated to Spanish, I hope it will be translated to Spanish, you will be able to see that one of the foundations that we are mentioning there is the Madrid Convention, the Madrid Declaration of 2009, I think, for shared society, but it's only one of them. So the Shared Society Foundation and the Confederation as the political institution and construction, I think that this is the best combination, but let others suggest other solutions, as long as we understand that this country is homeland for two nations. This is so. Jaime, Giuseppe, it is united in its own way, and the English of it will be hard. My colleague Amir came up with from the theory and the academic research. He came with the suggestion that there's a scale of I don't have the word for this in English, so I don't want to mix up things. Okay? I'm sorry, I have it on in Hebrew.
You can do it in Hebrew, and there is a bunch of people.
Okay. Okay. We have on this scale we have three situations, three positions: nivdalut, nifradut, and muvchanut. Nifradut is separation. This is, in America, it was a basis for separate but equal, or equal but separate. Okay? Nivdalut, that you are different from the other essentially. So you can't come together. You are nivdal. You are separate. You are, it's not separate. It's different essentially. The sense of essentialism is the base of it. And the sense of essentialism is the base for racism as well. Okay? So because you're essentially different from the other, you can't come together on any basis. Okay? This is apartheid. Separate equal but separate is it's in the middle between essentially separate and mubhanut is that you're different. No, mubhan. What is mubhan?
Hold on one second. I'm sorry, am I on? Niv Dalut, I just checked, it appears as, is defined in English as dissimilarity or incompatibility.
Niv Dalut, incompatibility. That's right.
Yeah. And mubhanut is just, well, here it just says distinction or difference, but so that doesn't help you.
Distinction helps me. Thank you. Distinction helps me. When you're living on the same basis, you can be distincted. Mm-hmm. You can be you can celebrate differences, as they say. You're different from one another, but when you live on the same basis, you can afford being distinctive. Okay? So I'm not sure, I don't have the linguistic tools to really elaborate on this. But I suggest that, well, we will get to you with this. I can send you a blurb on it in English, so it will be clear. Giuseppe, this will be a major tool for us. This scale to position ourselves on building the ability to live together as a shared society. Jaime, I'm so sorry to hear this about of you, and I'll pick up the phone to you. With regard to the freedom of speech, it's a good point asking about the difference between going out to demonstrate for the release of the abducted Israelis as opposed to going out to demonstrate against the war. It's not as opposed, but certainly I can, after a year of, more than a year of demonstrations, just a second. Sorry. I can, in Pardes Chana, my little town, we can learn about this issue that you raised. I don't have the enough patience to stand up with a sign. So I'm putting the sign next to me and I'm handing out yellow ribbons. It's my ADD or whatever they call it, whatever. Until now, I've handed out between 35 and 40,000 ribbons. That means that everyone who took a ribbon from me, and I'm tying it to the car, to the handle of the car, and based on the consent of the person, all right? I don't do it without the consent. They're stopping on the traffic light, and I'm tying it, and they're going. It's about 5 to 7 seconds that with an eye contact that I have with them. And they have, yes, please put it on. Thank you very much. Every 50, there's someone said, this. Okay. But the sense of involvement of the people, okay, thanks, the sense of involvement and engagement of the people who are responding positively to the yellow ribbon is huge. But the sign of stop the war is behind me. Okay? Amen? I'm connected to this. It's stop the war, להפסיק, לעצור את המלחמה, with a yellow ribbon, care for the abducted Israelis there.
Yeah, just to clarify, the question was not addressed to you. It was a general comment.
No,
I have no doubt. Okay.
No. I'm using my own example to show the connection between them. Okay?
Okay.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about what the 40,000 people who took the ribbon from me, seeing the sign behind me. They can't ignore it. The 1 out of 50 who does respond negatively shows me that, and some of them say, I would take a ribbon, but I want to continue the war. I say, don't take a ribbon. Okay? So it's mixed, but it's some people are trying to make the difference, but it's connected. It's a year, and it's over a year after the event. 3-4 months after October 7th, they still thought in Tel Aviv that they can separate between. But now it's very clear. And also even Bogi Ya'alon is calling to end the war. Not only, and based on morals, not only to release the hostages. Even Bogi Ya'alon, you can Google him, used to be the Minister of Defense and the Chief of Staff and all this. And he's very right-wing, but he understood that the war itself is there. Gallant, no. Gallant, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. So now, with regard to the freedom of speech, last Friday we had this standing in Pardes Chana, near the city offices, the city hall, with pots against starvation of Gaza. Yeah, have you heard of this pots demonstration? I will send Margot and Jonas the picture of it. Let's see. We were about 35 people, each one standing with a pot, wearing black, against starvation of Gaza. A bunch of one, then 2, then 5, then less than 10 people came to shout against us and to tell us you have no right, and you care for the Palestinians and not for the Jews, and you traitors and traitors and traitors and traitors. They shouted. It was not pleasant because we had to stand still for half an hour. It was not pleasant, but it was not frightening. It was very, very unpleasant. But frankly, Jaime, not more than unpleasant. In other words, I don't feel threatened yet. Others are, some people were arrested, but maybe I'm being too shy to be arrested or too less activist. But so far, it's unpleasant. It's totally unpleasant. But it's not. I'm not. I don't feel threatened yet. Also, in my own little community on the kibbutz, it's. I'm not threatened. It's many people do. Most of the people do not agree with me, but I don't feel banned or threatened in any way, social or physical. Not yet.
Shuli, thank you very much. Do you want to? We have like 4 questions in the file. Okay, there is Jonas Arnau that I'm going to talk in his voice. Julia Taha, and there is an answer that Dominic make in the chat that I think it is interesting to answer. Julia, please. No, perdona, Jonas, please.
Well,
just a second. All right. There was this sound that. Okay, now it's good.
Well, my question was very much in line with your last answers. So I'll give the floor to Julia directly. Julia.
Okay, that's
very much. Thanks for letting me join. First of all, I'm joining you from Germany. A friend of mine who was in touch with your community made the contact, and I'm very grateful. So yeah, it's a little bit a dark thought. I want to ask the question anyway. Sometimes I cannot help but feel like all those catastrophes, October 7th and the war, which is probably a genocide since then, is somehow actually also, please don't understand me wrong, it's somehow a chance, because now we are sitting here and discussing those things, and Shuli mentioned before, like the left in Israel somehow until now did not develop like a real countervision. I think the status quo invited a lot of people to just stand still and, I don't know, sit the problem out. They were having the feeling that like this situation can go on like forever, and now actually people are forced to position themselves, forced to act out their views, however the view is, however the position is. The whole world is talking about it. I mean, in Germany, this discussion is like, it's ridiculous, but like, yeah, at least some people try to talk about it. And I was really asking myself, without all the terrible happenings from the last 15 months, would we be in this point? I don't know if you know what I mean. I'm not so much only interested in your own position on this, but also about how the left in Israel is talking about this. Is this somehow a chance, or is it only a catastrophe? Because yes, I see the topic is back on the table, but on the other hand, it's difficult to imagine how it's going on from here. I mean, there are, yeah, maybe 2 possibilities: total destruction or yeah, something good can come out of this, but both are like hard to imagine at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. Did I make myself clear?
Yes.
Yes, to me.
Okay. Thank you, Julia. I text you in the chat, please. Super nice to be here with you. Please send your mail or your phone number for further communication. Stay in touch. And from Arnau Pons, he's a little bit shy. Worth that he's a big translator of, but in French and in Germany from Hebrew literature. He wants to ask you, what do you think about the work of Amnon Kratotsky? Okay, and also I would like to this to speak by, well, to read this question that Dominique put in wrote in the chat. Even it is like a very common question, but I think it would we would like to know your opinion or your vision. I read that textually. I read. Is there an equivalent voice in the Palestinian society to talk with, too? If there isn't, how can you move unilaterally? Sorry.
Unilaterally.
Sorry. I don't know. I think that's yes. I don't say. Okay. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I will ask. I will go backwards. Okay. To Dominique's question, yes. The answer is yes. A week ago, A Land for All held a seminar for about 20 Palestinians and 20 Israelis. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it in our own homeland. We had to go to Cyprus to do it, and we did. There was full of tensions, and it was very hard. But there were many understandings and agreements, mainly on the need to solve the issue. And now, A Land for All is suggesting certain points, and you can see it on our website. I hope that in the next 2 years or so, it will be developed and much more elaborated. As I said in the beginning, about the need to elaborate the solutions. The one who asked about Amnon Razkar-Kutzkin, Hernan?
Arnau.
Arnau.
Arnau Pons.
Arnau. Amnon Razkar-Kutzkin is suggesting a theory and a frame of thought that I personally like very much. This with regard to the diaspora living. He's developing it very much as diaspora living in your own homeland. But I'm taking it only on the mainly in the political side. I think someone suggested in the beginning. I think Daniela, with regard to the diaspora, or Frida. Daniela asked about the diaspora, and I think that what Amnon is suggesting enriches very much and you can go and read his writings. He enriches very much the practical possibilities of co-living in the land of Israel, of Jewish living in the land of Israel. Again, also I wrote about it also in my book about more about the relations between us Israelis and diaspora Jews. I think he's helping very much foreseeing the future. Julia, your question is the hardest one. Because how can one say that such horror can be an opportunity? Still, all of us look for opportunities. And it is true, it is very true what you said, that this horrible war, this is horror that I personally never, politically, I hope, too bad it's recorded now. But I will say, politically, I did foresee this coming. But I couldn't imagine the amount of horror of October 7th in the kibbutzim near Gaza. And I couldn't even imagine the amount of atrocities and genocide that is going on in Gaza. I couldn't imagine this beforehand. Now, there's always hope that after if after World War II and after my entire family, except for my father, was dead, my father could foresee future for his own, for me. So maybe I put it this way, Julia. For me, sitting in my own study, in my own home, looking outside, seeing green bushes and gray sky with rain, foreseeing future from my position, it's so much easier than foreseeing future from the position of the woman who was slaughtered or her family was slaughtered in the kibbutz near Gaza, and from the man whose entire family is buried under the building in Gaza. Now, you're right. We must see future. It's a basic human need that we cannot deny. And this is something to fight for. I agree with you, and I would join you doing this, or join forces or whatever. I agree with you. After all I said, I do agree with you that it's a human choice. As I said in the beginning about the moral, very moral base, but it's a human choice to live for the future. I have 10 grandchildren. I have more than 10 reasons to do it. Thank you, Julia, for this question.
I know, and there's the last one, if you have energy, the one from Dominique about the other part.
Oh, I think I mentioned it. We went
Okay.
last
Yeah.
week
You
mentioned
replied already.
Cyprus.
Oh, sorry. So, I don't know. It is well. We don't want to push you anymore. It is. Thank you very much, Shuli. Okay, he said. Sorry, I was distracted.
Yeah, oh, that's fine.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry. The age. I'm pretty old as well. Anyway, we wanted to thank you very much. For us, it's super important as a group, and also to the people who has joined the meeting to see and to hear from the first hand this perspective from an Israeli who is an activist and who is in the struggle and in the fight. Also, I post some one article from the Plus 972 magazine, who also is addressed for what is happening now in the left, and I think it will, kind of be together with the meeting. So I don't know.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I want to remind you that you can the book, the beautiful, the wonderful, very deep book of Shuli, which is called Sharing the Promised Land. You can buy it on Amazon. I shared the link here. I don't know if you see the chat, but there is a link. And Shuli, I personally am very, very pleased to be talking with you here. It was very, very long talk. So thank you for.
Thank you. Yes, I'm exhausted. I have to drink water now.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. You intrigued my thinking very much. As I said in the beginning, it's the same now. I feel very much intrigued and charged by your questions and comments.
Well, I had many other questions, but no time to ask them.
We can set time for another charge.
Yes, I will be, and perhaps with Arnau and other people will be super nice to get you here in Barcelona for the release of your book. I don't know. Yes, that would be super important and super nice. We really need another voices and to open this polarization. So thank you, Shuli. We, as Jonas and me, always remember you and talk about you with a lot of love, a lot of respect. Okay?
I miss you.
We miss you too, Shuli.
Gracias, gente. Gracias, gente. Muchas gracias por venir y colgaremos esta actividad en YouTube con subtítulos.
Gracias a vosotros por organizarlo.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Muchas gracias a todos.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Tú cierras, Jonás, el último.